Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about compost tea. So today I'm going to introduce you to a few herbs that you may or may not have growing on your property that you can use to make an effective and simple compost tea. So the type of plants that we're looking for are plants that would also be considered wild edibles or just happen to have really high nutrient content. So I'm tackling this bed here because we're prepping it. We're going to be planting carrots fairly soon. And as you can see, I've got a lot of dandelions growing in my garden beds. If they're on the pathways or the edges, I don't mind so much, but the ones that are in the garden beds, unfortunately, I do need to grow food with. So those ones have to come up. Now, last year when I did this, I made a ridiculous amount of dandelion root tincture, so I don't really need that in my apothecary. So it actually makes way more sense for me to weed these. So that's your first plant would be dandelions. And you don't need a lot to make an effective compost tea. I also want to quickly introduce you to the hori hori. If you do not have a Japanese gardening knife, you're missing out. So all I do at this point, and my son's dragon Catherine is joining me. She's not very much help in the garden though, is I'm just going to dig down deep, wiggle out those roots and pull out this dandelion. And for now, I'm just going to store them in a big bucket, which is also all you're going to need to make your compost tea. So another really great herb option if you happen to be overrun with is stinging nettle. Now I do advocate for the eating of wild nettles. I've got a sauteed stinging nettle video that I'll post a link to up here. There's so many delicious recipes. I even have a homemade pasta recipe on my website, so I'll link that below. But in the meantime, I'll get my husband to give you a close look of what nettles look like. One of the reasons why we love it so much for a springtime wild edible is because it is loaded with trace vitamins, minerals, everything that your little seedlings and gardens will need as compost when they're growing. So our plan is to make we actually prefer to eat our nettles, so we're just going to use dandelion for our tea, and we plan on watering our seedlings with this to give them that extra added nutrition they'll need. Another really great option for compost tea, and one of the main reasons, I wouldn't even say main, for one of the reasons I grow this plant is comfrey. And I've got another great video on comfrey. I'm going to link that up here too. Definitely check it out. Anyone who homesteads should have comfrey on the property. This makes a fantastic compost tea, and as you can see, we are late April here in Southern Ontario, growing zone 4, and she's already producing big, huge leaves. This is one of 5 different comfrey plants I have on the property, and we will use them up. You can use them as mulch, you can use them as compost tea, so definitely check out that video that I've linked up ahead here. So we just finished up a long day of weeding and hauling soil, but the garden looks amazing. I'll actually get my husband to show all the hard work we've done, tidying up the beds and getting ready. Soon it'll be time to plant beets, and you'll be able to get peas and kale in the ground, and not long after it'll be carrots, and before you know it, you'll be planting the whole garden. And we're quite tired, so we're going to finish off for today and make up some compost tea. So I have a huge bucket here full of dandelions that I've harvested, and I have another empty bucket here. I'm choosing to put my dandelions, the roots and the greens, inside of a bag like this that has a drawstring. It's kind of like a giant tea bag, and because of that, I'm not going to have to strain everything out. Alternatively, you can use like a big piece of cheesecloth and create like a bundle. And so I'm just going to take the roots. I'll probably rip up the leaves a little bit just to make the pieces a bit smaller, and I'm going to stuff the bag full of my dandelions. When I'm done with that, I'll show you what we do next. So as you can see, I've stuffed this used to be a nut bag actually, and it works really well as a tea bag. And I've stuffed it full of the dandelions and the roots. And I'm just gonna stick it in the bucket, kind of like when you're making tea. I just want you to picture your bucket being like your teapot. And I'm just going to use water from our rain barrels, and I'm gonna fill it up so you can follow me this way. Watch out, kitty. And so because we're using cold water, you're going to have to let this steep for a few days. And I know it's going to rain, so I'm going to bring this into the garage. Once it's steeped, you'll be able to tell by the color difference, you know, that you've made yourself like a nice nutrient-dense tea. I'm gonna need a hose to finish this off, but you get the idea. We'll be steeping it in this water. And then when I'm ready, I'll use this water to water our seedlings and water any of the seeds that we get into the ground in the next couple of days. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video on how to make compost tea. As you saw listed, all the herbs that I mentioned have lots of vitamins, minerals, and vital nutrients that will help to feed your seedlings, feed your seeds, and feed your plants. So you can do this all summer long, especially if you have a lot of nettles, dandelions, or comfrey growing. If you have any questions, please leave the comments below. If you like my content, I always appreciate a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. And until next time, this is Correne from Spirea Herbs, wishing you health and wellness.